Find the conditions that make ax squared plus 8x plus c always negative. Now, what are they talking about? This question is actually asking you this expression here, okay, under what condition will it always be negative? That means whatever x values that you put in, x is the variable here, a and c are the constants. Okay, so the question wasn't very clear. Actually, the question should state here A and C are constants, okay? But if you look at the question as it is, okay, find the conditions. The only topic that you have studied now where there are conditions is the discriminant, that topic. Remember your b squared minus 4ac? And in this question, they actually hint to you already. This is your A, B, and the C. The B in this case is your 8, number 8, okay? So if we think in terms of graph, of course this is not a graph, this is just an expression here. This is not an equation, this is an expression, okay? So if I think in terms of graph, then I will put a y equals there. Okay, this is just a rough working, it's not your main working. That's why I'm doing on a separate sheet of paper. I'm just explaining to you, okay? Later I'll show you the working. Okay, if you think in terms of graph, this quadratic graph, right? For it to be always negative, what it means is that at the x and y coordinates here, the axis coordinate scale here, it cannot be a happy face like that, right? It also cannot be a sad face like that, right? Because if it's a sad face or a happy face here, then it's positive already. It's not always negative. So always negative means it has to be like that. Okay? It must be a sad face, either this way or this way. Whether you cut the y here or y here, okay, on this side of the y-axis, it doesn't matter. In this question, it doesn't matter. What you need to know is that it has to be a sad face. And because it's a sad face, your A must be less than 0. So this is one of the conditions really, because they say here conditions, that means there's more than one. Okay, so this is one of the conditions. And the other thing is, because it's always negative, that means it cannot even be like that. It cannot even touch this line y equals 0. Why? Because negative means cannot be 0, because 0 is neither positive nor negative. Okay, you need to know this. So 0 is a neutral number. Okay, so this is not the case that we want. Alright, so only this one or like that or whatever, as long as it's under and not touching the x-axis, then it satisfies this condition. Alright, so one of the condition is of course this, as we mentioned. The other condition is because there's no intersection between this curve. Okay, you try to understand this, it will help you in your Amaths. And if I set y equals 0, so if I think of this as a curve, which it is a curve, and this as y equals 0, y equals 0 is actually your x-axis. There's no intersection between this y equals 0 and this. So when we solve them simultaneously, there's no solution. Okay, which means that my b squared minus 4ac must be less than 0. So this is one of the condition, one of your answer. You write this down, you get marks already. The other condition is this one, but this one you need to write more than this. Why you need to write more than this? Because in this particular question, although you don't know A, you don't know C, you know B. So you need to substitute 8 inside, and then you minus 64 both sides, and then you divide. And once I divide, I have to change the sign, and then I work it out. as A times C greater than 16. So the two conditions are these. Okay, now is this an AO3 a difficult question? No, this is not. Alright, but many of you won't be able to answer this question because you can see the answer is purely algebra. And when it's purely algebra, students normally have difficulty because they cannot visualize things that are not like with numbers. Okay, so that's your answer. These are the two conditions.